Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in live tonight for our March episode of Real Talk. Real Talk is a monthly show hosted by the Living Legacy Foundation Maryland that focuses on various topics within the field of organ donation and transplantation. We are honored tonight to highlight and discuss the many ways that organ, eye, tissue, research, and in-spirit donors are remembered and celebrated year-round in our community. My name is George Lee, and I'm the business analyst in the Data and Information Systems Department at the Living Legacy. I have the pleasure of introducing you to our moderator of the evening, Jay Herzog. Each month, Real Talk is moderated by one of our Donate Life ambassadors who have a special connection to donation/transplantation. Jay Herzog received a liver transplant from a living donor on January 21st, 2015. He is an active member of the transplant community and served a term on the board of Trio Maryland, a transplant recipient support group. Jay is a theatrical lighting designer and professor of theater at Towson University. He shares his life with actress, teacher, and caregiver Donna Fox. Jay and Donna have two children who are also in the arts. Jay, you have the floor.
Great. Thanks, George. Thank you for having me, and hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to host this evening's Real Talk episode. We will be discussing an important topic, honoring the legacy of organ, eye, and tissue donors. The Living Legacy Foundation and the entire donation community are committed to remembering the gifts given by those generous individuals through events, memorial celebrations, flag raisings, and much more. Here tonight, we have three women to talk more about these activities. Heidi Polera has been the Family Service Coordinator with the Living Legacy Foundation for the last 12 years. In this role, she discusses the opportunity of donation with families and supports them through the donation process. She also continues to offer support to them through the Living Legacy's Aftercare program. She says one of her most rewarding aspects of the role is facilitating the exchange of letters between donor families and recipients, which often leads to these individuals meeting in person. Heidi also volunteers her time with Trio Maryland. Then we have Barbara Sauer. Barbara is a dedicated Living Legacy advocate. She was introduced to the Living Legacy Foundation in January 2018 when her daughter Heather passed away from complications following an asthma attack. Barbara honors Heather's decision of organ donation, which Heather had decided upon when she got her driver's license. Heather's selfless decision led to the donation of a heart, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and tissue. Since Heather's passing, Barbara has become a passionate advocate for organ, eye, and tissue donations. She has continued to find creative ways to promote organ donation, as well as raise money for a foundation that holds such a close place in our heart. Erin Bauer. Erin is the events coordinator at Living Legacy Foundation. Eric joined the LLF team in 2013 and supports the organization's community outreach and public education efforts by planning mission-driven events to celebrate the lives of donors and recipients. Erin has also served a term on the Trio Maryland Board of Directors. So some questions. First, thank you all for joining us here tonight. So let's get right to it, shall we? Let's start off by talking about an important part of the family services of the Living Legacy Foundation. The Aftercare program is a 2-year program offered to all donors and donor in spirit families. Heidi, can you tell us some of the services that are offered to families? And how does Family Service Team honor donors through the Aftercare program?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Jay. So I am one of the family services coordinators at Living Legacy. I am one coordinator of a relatively small team of 9 coordinators. We are the ones that talk to our donor families whenever they are at the hospital. And I'll talk about our support, and then I'll also talk about our aftercare program. But our support that we provide really starts the instant that we meet a donor family or a donor in spirit family. We engage with families at the hospital at what is most likely one of the worst moments of their lives. And we offer support to them all throughout the donation process. We also are with them the entire time, whether they're there at the hospital or they choose to go home. We're updating them and supporting them pretty much in any way that we can. We also begin to honor all those who are donors or donors in spirit pretty much at that same exact time. We have this formal aftercare program, but it really starts the minute that we start meeting families at the hospital. We have keepsake items that we have that are treasured by our donor families. One of the most kind of well-known and important keepsake that we give, because it's known throughout the transplant and donation community, is our donor medals of honor. And so we have 2 of them. And because we do have so many donor in spirits, we actually created our own donor in spirit medal as well. But I'll try to get them on the screen here. So this first one is our donor in medal. Our donor medal. A lot of people refer to it as a gold coin, and I love that term. It's actually very heavy in weight, and it's really quite beautiful. It says on here, it's the donor medal of honor, and down around the curve there, I don't know if you can read it clearly, it says that to save a life is to save an entire world. And that is so true of what our donors do, because that just one recipient is the world to all their family and friends. And it's really just a kind of a quote that is really well known in our community. And then the medal also has the tree of life on it, and it also has a peace dove. So people really treasure this. People, I'm sure some of them go in a box or a drawer, but some people have them on display. I recall one family putting it into the trunk of a tree in their backyard. People put these into their gravestones, and it's really just a very meaningful keepsake that we provide. We also have one, as I said, for our donor in spirits, and this focuses more about the decision and how that decision to donate is so important, because the decision far outweighs the outcomes. Most families, when we talk to them, have no idea about how clinical this process is and how hard it is to actually become a donor. And so that decision allows us to try every avenue we can for someone to be a donor. And it gives so much hope to those people on the waiting list. And if it's not able to happen, we really treat it as if it has happened. And that person in our mind is a donor, and their family is a donor family, because it's incredible that they are able to make this decision at this point in their life at that moment. And that's really what we honor. So those are 2 really important pieces that we give. We also give families the opportunity to create what we call donor memorial cards. And these are similar to what you might see at a funeral home, which is typically some type of a prayer card or a spiritual card of some type. But we wanted ours to be really individualized and really honor the donors. So I'll just show some here. We have I'm going to switch my hand, sorry. They're all beautiful, they're all unique, and they're all just so amazing. So people submit a picture, we get words from them for the back, and we simply send them to a printer, and then they get sent to the donor family so they can hand these out at the service or the celebration of life or whatever they do to honor their loved one. I'll just show you a couple more just to show you exactly just how unique they are. And of course, our donors come in all ages and sizes. And this little guy was adorable. And this is actually Barb. I know you know I was going to show this. This is Heather, Barb's daughter, and her card's beautiful as well. All have different sayings. They're just amazing. And so families, I know for every service I've been to, I keep those. I have a box of them. And so people treasure these, and they really keep them and are happy that they have them. So at the hospital during the process, the Donate Life flag can be raised as well on the flagpole in front of the hospital. Families have the opportunity to go outside and see the flag being raised and have a few words read if they like. Most of the hospitals in Maryland do this now, so we actually are able to raise a lot of flags across the state. And I think that the neat thing about it is that if the flag is flying, staff knows that that means that there's a donor in their hospital. And that really is quite meaningful to staff as well, that they have participated in this process. So in addition to donor flags, there are donor walls at several of the local hospitals, and families can simply have their loved one's name added onto the wall. And most of those hospitals do some type of a ceremony each year too, or every couple years to honor those people. The walls are, again, everything is so unique and individual, but all of them are so beautiful. We also have had several hospitals, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, initiate the Walk of Honor. And that is done the day that the donor leaves the unit of the hospital to go to the operating room for organ recovery. And the staff and the family participate in this. And it's a very tender-hearted, very touching tribute to this honor as they leave to give this incredible gift. So that's amazing to be a part of that. And so then at that point, the family, they eventually head home that day, and then kind of our aftercare program starts. And that's kind of like a formal aftercare, but we're available in between all these times and well afterwards to support our donor families. I always say that we're friends for life if they want us, and that's exactly what we intend to do. We start in with a check-in call about 3 weeks after the death of their loved one, just to see how families are doing and how they're holding up. If they have any questions, if they have any needs from us, if they need us to refer them for any counseling, any services, anything that they might need. And then what we do is during the 6 weeks following donation, we check in with the transplant center. And that information that we get from the transplant center is then put into a letter, and we send that out to our families just about after 6 weeks. And as I said, our formal aftercare lasts for about 2 years, but when that time is over, everybody gets the option to stay on and continue to receive our mailings and invitations to our ceremony of remembrance, which I'll talk about a little later, as well as all of our events, including our family fun run. And so we see many, many families for years and years following. Another thing that our department does that's service related is all throughout the year we offer workshops. So these are workshops that are extended. The invitation is extended to our donor families and those we come in contact with. In 2021, we have 7 workshops that are coming up. That includes Grief 101, Traumatic Loss, Returning to Normal, Grief Within the Family, Writing to Your Loved One's Recipients. And then one that's really well attended is Hope and Healing during the holidays, because that holiday season can be really hard. And then this year, for the first time ever, we are going to be hosting a donor family meet and greet. So where donor families can come together and share their experiences. So I'll wrap up this portion. As Jay said, one of the most pleasant things that I think that we do, part of our services, is facilitate the correspondence between donor families and their loved ones' recipients. And then after those people make that initial conversations, sometimes they email, sometimes they end up talking. And then if both parties are ready, then they go ahead and meet. And we facilitate those meetings, they're absolutely amazing. And I had the honor of being with Barb whenever she met her daughter's heart recipient. And it's a heartwarming day. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of a overview of our services and our aftercare program that we offer.
Well, thank you. Heidi, I cannot say enough. I'm so moved by what you and your team give to us. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's really our pleasure and our honor to be able to do that.
Yeah. I've seen you in action, and it's absolutely fabulous. So thanks. Mm-hmm. So Barbara, as a donor mom, I understand that you and your family took part in the Aftercare program that Heidi was talking about. Can you tell us about your daughter, Heather, and what her being a donor means to you?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for asking me to participate in this show. It means a lot. I'm going to try not to cry here, guys. She was a 26-year-old who had died from complications from an asthma attack. She was a fun-loving people person, free-spirited, loved her family, friends. She loved helping others, which had led her to become a social worker in Baltimore City. At first, she was up here in Cecil County with the children, but she decided she wanted to turn to a different level and go to help people with mental health issues, and she loved it, very committed. She didn't have any children of her own, but she did have 3 pets, which she did consider her children. 3 dogs and a bird named Molly. Her dogs were Skeeter, Tank, and Squirt. And she's our hero. Like I said earlier in the bio, I gave the children the option to become a donor when it was time for their license. Excuse me.
You're fine.
And I gave them the option to do so. Didn't encourage them. I explained what it was and gave them the choice. And that's what she did. So she became our hero by saving 4 people in her decision. And those people, which I have met, as Heidi said, the heart recipient. And not only are they people, they're becoming my family. And it's something wonderful to do. And I'm grateful that all the kids have decided to do so.
It's a big choice, isn't it?
Sure is.
We make light of signing a piece of paper when we go get a driver's license, and it's a huge and very important choice. So thank you to Heather. Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. We'll hear more from you in a little bit. Thanks. So beyond the Aftercare program, Living Legacy honors and celebrates the lives of donors and donors in spirit year-round through participating in national observances. April is quickly approaching, and many of you know April is National Donate Life Month. Erin, can you tell us how Living Legacy Foundation will be honoring donors during Donate Life Month this year?
Absolutely. This is our largest national observance throughout the year, and we love that there is an entire month to celebrate giving the gift of life and everyone that it impacts, from donor families to recipients and those that are waiting. And the Living Legacy Foundation has a campaign that is, why are you an organ, eye, or tissue donor, in one word. And the concept of that Donate Life Month campaign is for each individual who supports donation to pick the one word that really stands out to them. Why do they support donation? And that could be something general like love or compassion or the word life or second chances. Or, for instance, for a donor family, it could be the name of your loved one that you honor year-round, who's your hero. For recipients, it might be the name of your donor, or the impact, something to do with the impact that it had on that donation had on your life. So our campaign is going live soon, and we have a website that you can view. And what we're encouraging everyone to do is pick your one word, and you can write it down. We have lots of lovely templates on our In One Word website, and then there it is right there on the screen. So you can write your one word down, and we encourage everyone to take a picture with it, share it with your friends and family if you're on social media. As much as we try to spread the word, the best advocates are all of our community out there. Share with your friends and family, and maybe you might be able to reach someone that hasn't made a decision about whether to become a donor or not. Obviously, we can see how much donation impacted Barbara and her family and the lives of Heather's recipients. And I think the goal of that campaign is to really reach people who might not have made that decision yet. So through that campaign, we honor donors and donors in spirit every single day during Donate Life Month. And we have several other larger events that happen during the month that we also, where we also honored our donors. So one big one is our Living Legacy Foundation flag raising. And this year that is virtual, and it is on Thursday, April the 1st. And you can tune in via Facebook Live or YouTube, very similar to how this Real Talk episode is airing this evening. And here's some remarks from our CEO. We will raise the flag and also recite one of our favorite poems in honor of donation, which is called We Remember Them. And it talks about how we remember donors. We also have a celebration day called Blue and Green Day. And that is a national celebration. And this year it is on Friday, April 16th. And everyone's encouraged to just deck out in blue and green, head to toe, and talk to anyone and everyone that you may see. I know it's a little bit harder these days with everyone being confined at home during the pandemic, but even share on social media, take photos of yourself, and just share why you support donation, who you're honoring, and remember what we're celebrating during the month of April. And then from our team, we'll be sending out weekly emails to everyone who's on our mailing list. So if you haven't already, please join. And it's going to have lots of fun ways that you can get involved throughout Donate Life Month. I've seen a couple of previews that I'll hint at. Now there's a really awesome coloring sheet that I'm very excited about. There's an activities calendar and checklist of activities that you can participate in. And there are going to be some fun quizzes, and you have the opportunity to win some really awesome prizes, including a Donate Life Month prize pack if you share your in one word. So lots of ways that we're celebrating donor families, donors, and also just donation in general throughout Donate Life Month.
I'm going to have to go get my big blue and green suit for Donate Life Month.
Awesome.
Parade down the street. Thanks, Erin.
Sure.
Barbara, I hear that your family celebrates Donate Life in a pretty unique and creative way last year. Could you tell us a little bit about that project?
We did. Since the passing of Heather, I've become very passionate about supporting organ donation. And as you know, last year, COVID was here, so we really couldn't do much. And I saw that people were painting their windows and doors and things like that to support police officers, first responders, hospital workers, things like that. So I came home one day and I said to my husband, I got an idea. And I showed him what I wanted. And he said, you get the supplies and we'll start. So I went and got the supplies. And we actually used the Donate Life flag that was displayed at the hospital from the Living Legacy and used that as the centerpiece for us to create the Donate Life. Then we submitted it to Donate Life America for the contest that they were having. And we came in the top 10 out of 900 submissions that they did, which was very happy for me. So now this year we have to top that. So we got to get to work because it's coming up.
Great.
That'd be awesome. I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope.
Wiz, we'll have to talk about why somebody nicknamed you Wiz later. I just saw it come across the screen. So
it said Wheezy Bar.
Wheezy. Okay.
It was from
Wheezy.
That is because I have asthma as well. And my husband calls me Wheezy.
There you go. The things we learned tonight. So the Living Legacy Foundation also hosts every April events that honors the legacy of donors who gave the gifts of life and hope through the Living Legacy. Heidi, can you tell us a little bit more about that program?
Sure. And I'm sorry, this was the ceremony of remembrance, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay, that's great. I heard program and I just want to make sure I was thinking ceremony and I was
The
following
event. It says
correctly.
the event. Yep.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So we do a yearly donor memorial ceremony. We call it our ceremony of remembrance. This year is our 25th year of doing this ceremony. And it is a day where we gather 600 plus donor families together in one room. And it's amazing. When I'm there and I look at everybody sitting in the seats, I just think of all the hope and generosity that came from and continues to come from this group of people. So it's really an extraordinary group of people gathered together for a couple hours to honor their loved ones. So it's really just to honor and celebrate the lives of organ, tissue, and eye donors. That's why it was created. Each year, our ceremony has a theme that envelops something about the spirit of donation. And it consists of speakers, usually including a recipient who shares their story of how their transplant has changed their life, and it's usually an amazing story. There's music from some of our talented donor families, from recipients, from some of our LLF staff and other partners that we work with in our community of hospitals. So the music is very good, and it's nice that it's local people who have a connection to transplant and donation. A few years ago, we incorporated having the children who attend do an onstage presentation at the end, and that is really just it has just at the end there's this lighthearted ceremony piece that's just kind of lightens the mood for everybody, and just is a real feel-good piece. So that's been a really nice addition to our ceremony over the last several years. It always puts a smile on everybody's face. They're all so cute. In addition to the actual formal ceremony, all of our collection of all of our donor quilts are on display. So families wander through the display of those, taking pictures of quilt squares and finding their loved one. It's really quite touching as well. And then if a donor, this is for our in-person ceremonies, if a person has brought a quilt square with them, then they have the opportunity to pin it onto some fabric, which will become the next quilt in our collection. So that's really pretty touching as well. The highlight of our ceremony is our donor memorial slideshow, and that is a slideshow that's set to music, and the pictures are all of the donors who the families have chosen the picture they want to be represented. And so their picture is shown and their name is also read. And it's kind of, like I said, the highlight of our show. Many families, like I said earlier, we see some of our families for a really long time. Some of our families come for years and years and years. And it's just so nice to continue to see them year after year. And some of them have been coming we have one person coming the entire 25 years and many more for like 20. And just to know that donation had that kind of impact in their family, to just continue every year to honor that person for that gift is pretty amazing. Many of our families come in large groups, and so you'll see a whole crowd of 15, 20 people walking around with matching t-shirts with their loved one's picture on it and their name, and just some words or just some information about them, which is really quite incredible. So it's really a beautiful, beautiful day, and we encourage everybody to come. Our ceremony this year is Sunday, April 25th, and at 2 p.m., which is always our time for our ceremony. This will be the second year that it's in virtual format, but we're really, really hopeful that next year we'll be back to person. And the theme for this year, I just talked about our quilts, and the theme we picked was about quilts because they've always been a big part of our ceremony. So our theme is families are like quilts, lives pieced together, stitched with smiles and tears, colored with memories and bound by love. And we thought that quote really kind of embodies the spirit of donation and transplant. So as I said, it's our 25th anniversary, which is pretty amazing. And even in virtual format, it's going to be a really heartfelt occasion.
Thank you. And Barbara, you attend this year after year. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience and why it's so important to come back?
For myself and my family, the experience, it's truly an amazing one. Also emotional, as Heidi said. But it helps us keep Heather's spirits alive and be around others who are in the same situation as us. So there for support. Giving families the opportunity to also create the squares to honor their loved one it was a great idea when we first learned about this. I actually went to the first quilt event that they had to learn how to make one. And then since then, the family gets together every year and makes them now here at home. And allowing that square that we created to honor our loved ones, and that gets that quilt to travel around to all the different events. It's just something that it's an emotional thing to do. I mean, I'm very thankful that they do that for us.
Yeah, I attended a couple of years ago. I actually got to sing a song with a friend of mine, and that was a highlight for me. It was such a great honor to be there, and I'm still thankful that I got asked. So that's
I'll be one of those that'll be coming for 20, 25 years plus.
Congratulations!
I'm there.
That's fabulous.
Yep, yeah. I'm there.
We'll love to see you every year, Barbara.
As you say, you'll be welcome. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there's other events throughout the year as well. I don't want to forget about those. Erin, could you tell us about the fun run that happens every year? That's a big one.
It is. The fun run's like my big baby every single year. So this year is our 13th year for the Family Fun Run, and you're actually hearing it first here on Real Talk. We have finally set a date for our 2021 event, and it will be virtual again this year. So we will be having our virtual kickoff for Fun Run Weekend, and it will be on Saturday, September 25th. And you will be able to walk and log your 5K times all throughout that weekend and through Monday. So we hope to see everyone back in person at Camden Yards next year. But for this year, for everyone's safety, we are keeping it virtual. But a little bit more about the event. It is one of my very favorite events that we host because it brings together all of the donation community, not just our donor families who make up the huge majority of the people who are there, but we have transplant recipients and their friends and family, and also people who are waiting for a transplant, their support systems. Transplant surgeons come out, our hospital ICU and care teams, our Living Legacy staff, really every single person who touches the donation process and is touched by donation is represented there during that day. And so we have crowds the last few years of about 3,300 people, which is really impactful and amazing because that's approximately the number of people who are waiting for a life-saving organ here in the state of Maryland. So that's been our goal every year, is to have one person walking for every person waiting. And what better way to show those people our support and that we are working hard for them, and that, we believe that their miracle will come. So we do so many things to honor the legacy of our donors at the Fun Run. And then take a little quick peek at my notes here. So one of the newer things that we do, but it has been really embraced and well received, is that we have what are called dedication signs. And typically during our in-person events, you can purchase a dedication sign in honor of your loved one or in support of a recipient or someone who's waiting. And those signs line the entire starting and finish line of the race. So as you get started and as you finish, you have that reminder of why you're there and why you're walking or running, and what that means to the people who are there during that day. This past year, we took those virtual and mailed them to people's homes, and they put them as yard signs in their yard, in their windows. People carried them on their walks with their families around their neighborhood, and use them to start conversations about donation in their community. Another way that we honor donors, and this has been a very long-standing tradition, I think for about 10 years now, is our Why We Walk display. So everyone who is at the fun run is invited to fill out a little paper form that they can write their reason for why they walk and why they run. Again, a variety of different reasons, whether they're honoring their donor or remembering their loved one or, supporting recipients. We see a myriad of different reasons, and then eventually they're hung all on clotheslines throughout the race area. And, you see hundreds of little fluttering papers flying in the breeze and saying why people support donation. And it's a really beautiful sight to read. People attach pictures to them. And it's always just so touching, especially for me at the end of the day, to just walk by there and see all the reasons that people were there that day. And another longstanding tradition, and I know that Barb's family participates in this one every year, is our T-shirt row. So we release our T-shirts early to our team captains who want to decorate them. And so many teams customize their shirts in honor of their loved one. Some have created logos. They print pictures on the T-shirts of their loved ones, and it's always on the back. And even though I haven't actually had the chance to walk the race in many years, because I'm always running everything behind the scenes, my very favorite part about the races that I've had the opportunity to walk in is that when you're walking behind, hundreds of people, you see the back of these T-shirts and you see the faces of the donors and people who are recipients. And, you really feel and understand the impact that donation has in our community. And it is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So many ways that the Family Fun Run honors donors. And this year, all of those things will again be celebrated virtually. We put together videos of the Why We Walk and also the T-shirt display that we aired on our online kickoff. So stay tuned for that. And registration will open on April 1st. So we hope to see everybody there.
That's great. Thanks. It's a fabulous event. Speaking of the event, Barbara, you always gather this very large team. And I'm curious how your family and friends honored Heather last year in the virtual version of the Fun Run.
Well, since COVID was here, I decided to ask my team if they would feel comfortable walking together, separately, however they wanted to do it. Some did walk separately, but we did still have our huge team here. We had it at our house, and we walked our neighborhood. My mom and I walked to every house in our neighborhood to ask them if we could put balloons on their mailboxes for our walk. We decorated our front door with the balloon, green and blue balloon arch. And the Why We Walk, I asked my entire team to send me why they walk, and I posted them on our front door. We provided breakfast for everybody and drinks. And then the team members that couldn't be here with us, I asked them to send us all the video pictures, and so I could still have them and still be a team together.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. And I hope that someday soon we will be able to walk together and not virtually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'd love to help. And I'll even be a member of your team if you ask me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll keep you on because I hound everybody.
Hound away. I'll try to hound a few more people too. So, not to forget another big event yearly, Erin, could you tell us about Gospel Fest?
Absolutely. Gospel Fest is so much fun. It is held every year during National Donor Sabbath, which is in November. And National Donor Sabbath, of course, honors and celebrates the lives of donors. And it also really brings about or calls awareness to the need for organ, eye, and tissue donation and the need within our community. So as a team, we are hosting our 10th annual Gospel Fest this year. And it's an interfaith gospel concert that we hold every year, and it's free. This year it will again be virtual for the second time. But it really is just a wonderful, joyous celebration of music. There are testimonials from donor family members. There are testimonials from recipients, and also we hear from people who are waiting. And they really speak to their local community about the need to register as a donor. It's just a really impactful event, I think, for people who are able to attend in person when we have it there. We've incorporated food giveaways our last few years for people in communities in Baltimore City. And this year's date is Saturday, November 13th, and it's at 6 p.m. So hope everyone will mark their calendar and join us for that. But we honor our donors very specifically in a similar way that we do at this ceremony at Gospel Fest by compiling a donor memorial display. So when we're in person, we make frames for the families who attend. We frame a photo of their loved one who was a donor and put their name on it as well. And then last year we did that virtually with a slideshow of pictures that was shown during the Facebook and YouTube live events. So always remembering our donors at these events. It's at the forefront of everything we do with our community events. So that's probably our third biggest event of the year.
That's great. And Heidi, I know that there are also donors that organize their own type of events to honor donors and loved ones. You've been involved in some kind of really cool ones, and one called Noah's Ride for many years. Can you tell us about this event and how it honors Noah Acid?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're right. Like families have the opportunity to do any type of fundraising, any type of gathering that they want. And over the years, we've had people do golf outings and bull roasts, and somebody who sells jewelry will do jewelry, a jewelry sale, and all the proceeds come to Living Legacy. But in 2013, one of our donor moms decided to organize and plan a motorcycle ride. And I think that was the first time that's ever been done in our history, or at least our recent history that I know of. And so Noah's Ride was created, and that was in honor of Noah, one of our donors. He was 9 years old when he died, and his family made the decision to donate at the hospital primarily because they said that they knew he would want to do that. Like, that's the type of boy that he was. And his mom always said he was always helping others. He was just a really kind and sharing boy. And they just said, yeah, we just know he would want us to do this. If he knew he could help others like this, he would. And that just always stuck with me, because I thought, wow, like, there's this 9-year-old boy who the parents just felt so strongly about because he was so kind. So, Noah was able to help 4 people through his gifts of organ donation. And his mom is just extremely proud of that. And that's why Noah's Ride was born. She just decided after a couple years that she needed to do something to honor his legacy. And so she has done an incredible job. Her and her friends work extremely hard to spread the word about the ride. It started in 2013, and every year it continues to grow. The last one was in 2019, and it just bigger and bigger every year. The riders start up in Hanover, Pennsylvania, but then they spend the entire day on the back roads of Pennsylvania and Maryland, and they make stops throughout the day. There's door prizes at the stops, and it's just really a fun day for everybody. And we've been talking a lot about T-shirts. So each year they get a new T-shirt made. So you have all these riders on the bikes with matching T-shirts, and it really makes an impact whenever they're all together. And it's really amazing to watch and be there for the start of the race when all of the bikes take off. So really, really neat to watch and hear, because all that rumbling together is just incredible. So I mentioned 2019, it was the 10-year anniversary of Noah's death. And they, in 2019, were the biggest fundraiser amount to our organization. They raised over $28,000, which is just incredible. Yeah. And so those funds benefit our community outreach, our education that we do across the state, as well as all of our donor family programs and our workshops and our aftercare and all those types of things. So that money allows us to continue spreading the word about donation and supporting our wonderful donor families.
It's amazing. One of the things we really haven't talked about is how much allowing your child, 9-year-old, to be a donor, how in some ways how healing that is. I hear stories all the time about that, but it's just kind of a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And Barbara, you are actually planning a fundraiser for next month in Heather's honor, I hear. And you raise money from the Family Fun Run team. So I'm kind of curious. I've heard a little bit of you talking about this Egg My House activity. I want to know more about that.
Well, I decided I wanted to start a little bit earlier to try to raise money for our team. So I reached out to Aaron, asked some questions, and I decided, well, let's do this. It's called Egg My House. So we were selling eggs, 40 eggs for $20 or 80 eggs for $40, which will be filled with candy. And we allowed it a minimum to 20 houses. And so far we have done over 1,040 eggs that we have sold. So we're going to be busy on Easter Sunday, because we're going to deliver them and hide them in people's yards. And that money will go toward our team.
What a great idea. And you just is this something you actually just dreamt up? The idea?
Nope, I saw somebody else do it, and I reached out to her 2 years ago. And then I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see how it goes. So this is my first year. Well,
enjoy it. Sounds like a great fun time. And a great
I have something else in my sleeve coming up, but I'm not going to go there yet.
No, you're not going to share your secrets yet?
Not yet.
All right. So everybody tune in next time to hear what Barbara's family is going to do with next time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. If I may, I just want to take a moment to speak about a little bit about my life with LLF, because I'm a Donate Life ambassador, proudly wearing the shirt here. And I come from this a little bit differently because I didn't really come through the LLF model, being that I am a living recipient. I had a living donor. I had a loved one who donated their partial liver to me. So it's a very, very different experience. But it was really interesting for me to still have this calling as though I needed to do some type of outreach and to give back as a member of the transplant recipient group. Even though I don't have a donor that I ask Heidi to reach out to. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I get to speak to my donor anytime that I want. And I certainly understand the difference between my experience and other people's experiences. But being a person who gets to stand at a table to talk to people about my personal experience, to exchange the stories with other people who are at tables that we set up at hospitals and different events, it's so such an amazing gift to me. And I really mean that. It's a gift. It's a gift for me. I feel like through my liver failure, through the disease that I had, things opened for me in a way. As strange as that sounds, it's a new me. We hear that all the time, the new me. But I cannot say enough about what it is. And I encourage people, if you are involved with donation in any way, to look at becoming an ambassador with LLF. And if you're tuning in from another OPO, help me, my brain.
Procurement organization.
Organ procurement organization is the word I'm looking for. I really advise people to get as involved as they can and understand how fulfilling it is to me. Anybody else on the panel want to speak to the outreach that they, how it makes them feel? I know you do this for a living, but it's more than a living. There's a reason you chose it.
I think hearing from so many of our ambassadors that being able to share, especially our donor families, being able to share their loved one's story helps to keep their memory alive, and it provides a way for them to honor their loved one. And there's so many different opportunities other than what Jay mentioned, where you might have a talent for public speaking, and you can share your loved one's story at a flag raising or at different events that we host, or for the media. And maybe you're passionate about connecting with people and working those hospital tables, or sitting at a table at the Motor Vehicle Administration and really, speaking to people in the public about what donation means to you. That's a really great way to honor your loved one's legacy. Or if you're a recipient, still to honor your donor and share how donation and transplantation has impacted your life. And it really can sway someone's decision or help them make that decision, an educated decision about becoming a donor. And that, can save lives of someone like Jay, or someone who wasn't fortunate enough to have a living donor. I think that there's so many different ways that being an ambassador can help donor families on their grief journey as well. And
and I just point out the banner below. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, there's an email address, volunteer@thelllf.org. I encourage all of you who have it in you, have a little bit of time, and want to make great new friends, because I've made so many friends through this organization as well. So it's been beautiful. And last but not least, a simple way to honor your donor and loved one is by sharing their story. If you're comfortable, and you could do this either on social media or through the LLF's website at, I think we might have it below. There you go. The LLF Stories of Hope at LLF.org. It's a fabulous way for your stories to be shared with others. So please consider dropping your story into one of those places that are available for you. And we love, I know the Living Legacy loves to share them. There's a beautiful wall in the Living Legacy building, which unfortunately has been closed for the last year to us, that I walk by and I actually get very teary. It's a beautiful memorial about the stories of donors over the years at LLF. I think we're at a close here. Is that correct? I think we are. Adam says, love our ambassadors. Thank you, Adam. We love you too. Thank you so much. Adam runs the volunteer part of LLF and just is a good man and keeps us busy. So I want to, first of all, thank our panelists and everybody else who joined us tonight. We really appreciate you spending a Thursday evening with us. Be sure, by the way, to tune in next month for a special Donate Month episode featuring guests with especially unique answers to the question, why am I an organ donor? So Thank you all. Have a fabulous night, and thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Bye all. Pleasure spending time with you.
You too.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, I guess. Thank you for having me.